Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Good afternoon, good people. This is your host, Jania Butler, with the New American Perspective here on Millennium News 24. How are you today? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? You know, we got a lot of news today and a little bit of time here on Millennium News 24. So first of all, what is your perspective? How are you feeling? I'm hearing that 70% of Americans are loving what President Trump and the direction that we're going in. How you feel about that? So I need you to log on to Facebook or whatever, however you're connecting with us. We need you to put that in the comments and let us know what you're really thinking about President Trump's job right now. We need your New American Perspective because you know our news is getting to President Trump. He's hearing us, he's listening, and we're going to tell him about himself. So the first thing I got to tell him is, President Trump, we need some executive orders in the black and brown communities around the world, in Indians, black people. My homeboy Sid on WABC said the Jewish people. We're going to need some executive orders because I feel like we're in attack of the blonde women with Carolyn, the press secretary. She's out there every day talking that hot. She's all tough. You got Bondi, she's running around with her bulletproof vest on, arresting everybody, right? So we're going to need some executive orders in other directions, President Trump, okay? So that's how we're feeling out here. I like everything that you're doing. You executive order, executive order, executive order. We'll get to us, sir. Everybody else who voted for you and helped put you in office. Let me just get my little bun together right there. I'm a little crooked. I can't see what side I'm on, but whatever. But you know how I do. So whatever. Here we are. We're going to fix this bun. Okay, there we go. So executive orders, President Trump. We're going to need them pronto, if you don't mind. Okay? I know you like everybody to yes man and everything like that, but we're going to need some executive orders. And if you need to know what they are, we're going to send you some paperwork on what we need happening in the rest of these communities, because I think that President Trump is actually doing a good job at what he said he was going to do, right? And so what the other communities and everybody else is not understanding is that he's doing what he said he's going to do, and he just didn't say what he was going to do in our communities, right? So we have to be specific about that and make sure that our agenda gets across as well. I think that's very, very important. So let's talk about some of the things that are happening right now. So Elon Musk, he didn't save the day. Okay, so now we know that Elon Musk, all the Teslas, the car dealerships, everybody blowing his world up right now. They saying, look, Elon, you done saved $100 billion for the American people, waste spending and everything like that, to what he's calling waste spending. And see, that's what we're looking at. He's calling it waste spending, but he saved $100 billion of taxpayers' money. And then now he's saying that, they're blowing up the Teslas, they're blowing up, they got bulletproof, he's got bounty on his head. They trying to get him. Okay, so everything is happening to Elon. He lost about 148 billion. We reported that last week. And so now Elon, what are we talking about? Elon went to go get the people. He teamed up with NASA and SpaceX, and he went to go get the 2 astronauts that was stuck on the moon for the last 9 months. Okay, so they was only supposed to go up there for 8 days. So Elon said, I got the technology. You're not going to go up into the stratosphere and blow up. We can bring them down. We'll go up and get them. So they teamed up with NASA, and now the astronauts are back home. How about that? Bravo, Elon, bravo. So there's something to say. Now, we know that Elon was born in South Africa. We know that Elon's got a lot going on. He got the 13 baby mamas and all of that, but he went up into space and saved those astronauts. So you got to give him a little play, okay? So next, Elon, let's stick to Elon real quick, okay? So Elon saved $100 billion, lost $148 billion. Now, if you're on Social Security and you have a pension, Social Security and a pension, you are supposed to be getting $6,000 in the mail of a extra incentive. They took some extra money from you and they're giving it back. So you should be having that in your mail, Social Security and a pension. If you get both, not one or the other, both, you should have a $6,000 check coming to you. Now, I know some people that already got hit up with their $6,000. So I don't know if that's to thank Elon and who we should be thanking in this process, but it's happening. Okay. So now Elon, he's falling back a little bit because his feelings are hurt. Okay. Everybody's going on him. He wasn't okay in South Africa. Now, what they're doing here, here's something else that we got to look at, dear people. Okay. The South Africans, right? The Afrikaners, that the white South Africans, okay, they are mad because the original South African people, they are not letting them do their thing. So we know a long time ago, the white people tried to go and colonize in South Africa. So now they're kind of kicking them out. But now look, President Trump is saying, y'all can come over here and we got some farmland and you can farm over here. Those farmers over there, right? So they like, you're not digging in our mines. You're not, getting our coffee beans and the richness of our land over here. Take a hike. That's what they saying out of South Africa, right? But what President Trump is saying, and you're blowing my mind with this, President Trump. You're blowing my mind, because how you going to tell these people over there, oh, they not treating you right, so come over here, we going to give you some farmland. But you got a problem with the reparations going on with the black people here. Come on now, President Trump, get your story straight. I don't care what people are saying about, oh, well, he's racist. I don't care, okay? You did not get into this office by yourself, and you're not going to eliminate us from this process and then start giving these South African farmers, black farmers, land. Come on now. America, make America great. America first. The citizens, you're going to have to take care of us first, President Trump. Okay? And other Elon stories, Elon is trying to sell off the bus, right, from the civil rights movement and the historic stuff from the civil rights movement, saying that it's too much waste and spending. They want to sell it. Now, stop disrespecting us, Elon. Okay, I don't know what you went through over there in South Africa and what your feeling is with black people. I don't know. But stop trying to disrespect us, because that's straight disrespect. Now, either you can donate that to the African American Museum, which would make a lot of sense, but stop trying to just disrespect us straight off the gate and say, oh, well, we're getting rid of that. That has no significance, and this and that and this and that. It does not make sense. We're going to need some respect on our name. right? Just like you want it. That's why people are blowing up the Teslas and all of that, because they're like, you're not respecting nobody's job, so they don't care about the people in your dealership that have jobs. They blowing up their jobs. You understand? This is respect is a two-way street, sir. Okay, so I say now, the Black community is up in arms about this, as we should be. But I say, look, we're going to have to purchase that civil rights landmark of the bus and all that stuff, the Freedom Riders and all that. We're going to have to purchase that. We're going to have to look into our organizations and make sure that that history is retained. We can't always say, oh, well, why are they not respecting us? You know they're not respecting us. You know that. We've known that for how many years and how long at this point. So I'm going to need us to get together. And this is what the Black community is going to have to do. President Trump, he just knocked down another situation where he's allowing segregation, right? And he's talking about the bathrooms and stuff like that. But all this stuff can be read fine lines. You'll see everybody talking about, oh, now they can segregate the bathrooms. Ain't nobody having that. But, the bathrooms are segregated, men and women, right? And so now the women and the men go to the same bathroom, and, you could choose your gender and all that kind of stuff. So that's where they're coming from with that. But it could be translated into a lot of other stuff. So we do have to be careful. And me, as a Black Republican, I'm going to take the responsibility and know that I opened my mouth up to get us halfway into this place. Now I've got to push back when things don't seem so right for us, right? So I am taking the responsibility. I am on the front lines. And this is why I'm here on Millennium News 24 talking about this new American perspective, because we're going to have to change our stuff. And we can't sit back and sing "We Shall Overcome" on the House floor, something that we did in the 60s, and think that people are going to be responsive to us. We're going to have to get smart. We're going to have to get crafty. We're going to have to get involved and get dirty just like everybody else. If those Project 2025 people want to be all in this ear of President Trump, we got to be all in that ear with plans, and not just, oh, well, you can't do this. Oh, not why we're going to do that. We got to say, we'll buy. If you're going to sell, we're going to buy. We've got to be crafty in that way. Okay. So Elon, we feeling some type of way about you. And I think that you need to check yourself. And just because you are the richest man in the world doesn't mean that you got all the answers, Sway. You understand what I'm saying? So, okay. So what are we talking about? So we just talked about, President Putin, Pooh, he's in with us. Okay. He's talking about, yes, he is ready to go in ceasefire mode. Okay. So, President Trump, he reached out to, President Putin of Russia and said, look, we're going to have to come up with something. Y'all going to have to stop that bang, bang, bang. Okay. And President Putin said, you know what? I think that we need to strengthen our relationship with America. So, Carolyn, the press secretary, she like, oh, well, you see, that only President Trump could have did that. Well, he's doing it. I ain't fronting. He's doing it. And then President Trump called Zelensky and said, get ready, because we're going to put something on the table that makes 100% sense. And we're going to go ahead. So now the 30 days that they had put out, it's not out quite yet, but we're on our way to that 30-day number, so which is great. So congratulations on that, President Trump. Now we got to get Israel and them together, and we should be going in a great direction. So again, congratulations, President Trump. Thank you for bringing that to head, because the American people are spending money. And so we're about to go to a break. But when we come back from the break, we're going to talk about the Democrats and what the Democrats are now trying to stir up as their talking points coming up next, because now the Democrats, they're trying to figure out, where do we go from here? The American people is loving how Trump is running this ball game, right? And so now where do we fit in? So we've got the leader, the House Minority Leader, Congressman Jeffries. He's out here. He did his Medicaid Day, and he's got everybody in the country talking about saving Medicaid, and we've got to talk about that too. So we'll be right back here on Millennium News 24 with your news and with your new American perspective. Jania Butler, I'll see you in a minute. No. And we are back with Jania Butler with the New American Perspective here on Millennium News 24. So like I said before our break, we are talking about Hakeem Jeffries, Congressman Hakeem Jeffries, who represents Brooklyn, setting up his Medicaid Day of Action. Now, here's where the Democrats, they rolled into. Okay, so now this is good. I always say, if it's good. This is good. So Hakeem Jeffries and Yvette Clarke, they were at a hospital in Brooklyn yesterday, and they talked about this Medicaid Day of Action. Now, what the Republicans are trying to do, they're trying to say it's the largest Medicaid cut in U.S. history. Now, this is what they're saying. We always got to read through the lines to this stuff, right? So they're saying the Republicans want to cut $4.8 billion out of Medicaid across the country. And so most Congress people in these urban districts are really upset, because most of their people rely on Medicaid, right? And so now they're saying that the Republicans want to cut this money for the billionaires, that for their billionaire friends, they want to cut the money for their billionaire friends. But the trusty Democrats, they work for the poor. And so they are trying to keep Medicaid active and everybody insured. And insurance should be an American right, President Trump. So I hope this is not what it is. Now, let's see what's going on here. So the other thing we got to talk about is Chuck Schumer. So last week, right after we got off, last week, Chuck Schumer actually kept the government open by voting with the Democrats. Voting with the Republicans. Now, where they do that at, Chuck? Chuck. Where they do that at, right, people? Okay, so Senator Chuck Schumer from New York, he decided that it was better to keep the government open. He said, I'm not trying to give Elon and President Trump all this power. We're going to keep the government open, because if we don't keep the government open, they can shut everything down. They can shut Medicaid down. He was a little drastic in his thought and his views, but he went with it, okay? So he ended up voting. So now he's got the whole Democratic Party in an up tizzy, okay? Because he's got the whole party in an up tizzy, because now they're saying who should be the leader. So they tested your boy Hakeem Jeffries and Congressman Jeffries, and he said, they said, Congressman Jeffries, should the Democratic Party be seeking new leadership? He said, next question. Not answering that. Now, we didn't know which way that was going, right? Was the next question because yeah, or was the next question because of no? And see, now I know that Congressman Jeffries, he got a little game with him, because I think that yeah and that no was meant to be, because now you say to Schumer, Shoo, I got the power to open up and vote you out if you ain't acting right here. If you jump in the, the fence right here and going over Republican, they're asking me, should we get you out? Because Congressman Jeffries is the minority leader in Congress, and Chuck Schumer is the minority leader in the Senate. So, again, what's we talking about here? What we talking about, Shu? So he went ahead and voted to keep the government open, and which I'm glad that he did, because you could still negotiate. Now they're negotiating this Medicaid piece, and they're trying to figure out where we're going with this. How is Medicaid going to pan out? Now they still gotta negotiate, and so they will get it down, but this is the Democratic talking points. But now let's look into Schumer a little bit more. So when they asked Congressman Jeffries, should Schumer be out the way, let me tell you why. Because Congresswoman Andrea Ocasio-Cortez is considering a run against Schumer. So she's throwing out, I'm gonna run against Schumer and I'm gonna get that money. I'm gonna run against Schumer and I'm gonna get that money, right? So now Hakeem Jeffries had a meeting with Chuck Schumer. So in that meeting, you know what they was in there talking about? Look, Hakeem, this is not the time to be playing along with this, because we're going to lose to young girl AOC that does not know her way around nothing. And New York will be up a river. There'll be Green Dealed and all the stuff, Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib. They'll be all up in New York with Ocasio-Cortez talking crazy. This is not the time. So they made their pact. Hakeem came out in fine fashion. He's a businessman. He played his game. They shook hands, I'm sure, and now they're on the same team. So they're vowing to fight Medicaid together. What do y'all think about that? What's y'all perspective on that? I got to hear from y'all, because it's a lot of stuff going. So the Trump administration defied the orders of a judge who told them to bring back the 250 Venezuelan gang members, the Tren de Aragua. Am I saying it right? Tell them to bring back the gang members that the Trump administration said, we out of here, we're taking them back to Venezuela. Mark Rubio already talked to the Venezuelan people. They got the plane up in the air. They were in international waters when the judge said, hey, bring that plane back with them people. They said, we out of here. We're out. So now those implications may, in the long run, hurt us. The fact that Trump's administration is now defying orders on behalf of judges. Now, they were in international waters. Now, Tom Homan said, look, once you're in international waters, you know, there's no jurisdiction here in the United States. So let's just be careful with that, right? Let's just be careful. So now everybody wants to know, why is the Democratic Party and everybody else trying to keep these gang members here? But they're like, you know, they deserve to be tried first before you just call them a gang member. We don't know who was on the plane. They're saying that there were all these gang members on the plane, but who was really on the plane? Was it really gang? We don't know, but we know that they up out of here. Okay, they up out of here. So now, Trump is defying orders, and so is Governor Hochul. Listen, Governor Hochul, we're going to need you to take a step back. I know that you want to fight Trump. Now, Governor Hochul went to meet with President Trump, I believe it was yesterday. She went to talk to him about a bunch of things. Now, she said that she is going to keep the congestion pricing on in the city of New York, regardless of what President Trump says. And so I guess we're going to just have to, those things are just going to have to come out of the sky, because they're really crazy. I mean, when you go downtown, you look at this situation where, here we got more cameras. You get cameras coming off the Lincoln Tunnel, coming off the George Washington Bridge, coming off the Midtown Tunnel, coming out of the Battery Tunnel, coming across the Triborough Bridge. All of these camera systems that were billions of dollars, and you wasted that money because we're getting rid of that, Governor. Okay. Wasted that money on that, and now trying to make us pay for everything in New York. I always say, what do I always say, people? Stop eating your citizens. America, stop eating your citizens. Let's preach to the congregation when we say that, people. Congestion pricing is not right. Let me tell you why. Let me give you another thought on this. Okay, so I don't like congestion pricing. I try to stay away from it as much as possible, right? But you can't avoid it. You could go around the city, but everything you got to do one way or another. If you're a business person in New York, you got to go into the city, okay? And those of us who lost our Easy Pass privileges, okay, we have an extra problem because it's not $9, it's $15. And that's the part that they're not telling the most of the people. Okay, so now you come in through, let's say, Brooklyn. Okay, so now you come into Brooklyn, Staten Island way, right? Staten Island, everything is all congested. You got an extra hour there. You go George Washington Bridge, extra hour there. All this extra for the people who can't afford it. So the reason why it's an extra hour, and it was already an hour wait getting in. So now it's about 2 hours, getting in, only for this one group of people, this one group of elite people who can pay this extra $9, who it doesn't bother to run around New York City as if there's no congestion, but everybody else trying to work and trying to keep the city moving has to go sit in traffic because you want to make it simple for this one group of people. We're all equal in New York. We're all New Yorkers. You got to change that. You got to change your mindset. Go sit in the tunnels. Go sit everywhere else, Governor Hochul, before you say that you're going to keep this on. If you want to be the governor, I know over New York City, you're out of here. If you want to be the governor, though, you got to show us some compassion. We already got the 25 mile speed limit that you can't go over 32. If you go over 32 in New York, driving on any of the roads, you're getting a ticket in the mail. If you don't pay for the tickets in the mail, they're going to tow your car and they're going to sell your car. Okay. This is just horrible business that we have to go through here in New York. And I think that you really need to take a look at this, Governor Hochul. We love you for your tenacity. I'm liking your tenacity. I'm liking where you're going with this. But as a woman, what we need to do is figure this out, because that's coming down. And shout out to Congresswoman Nicole Malliotakis and Staten Island for standing up for the rest of us New Yorkers and really fighting this fight to nail and tooth and not backing down. I think Nicole Malliotakis could be our next senator at some point too, because she's working hard. She loves New York and she's looking after Staten Island. I want her to look after New York the way that she's looking out after Staten Island. So shout out to Congresswoman Nicole Malliotakis out in Staten Island, because she is carrying a torch. And I believe that if she had to carry that torch by herself, girlfriend is carrying the torch. So happy Women's History Month to you. And let's just talk about that, Governor Hochul, because not in Women's History Month is you doing all this, fighting and stuff. Remember the women's suffrage movement and everything that we went through to be equal in this country. And now you're making us unequal in New York. And it's just not fair. And not fair when, all that you haven't thought about anything for the other people across the board. Okay, she said she's keeping the cameras on now. So we got to, we got to continue to fight on that. So what else we got to talk about over here? So what about, and we're going to go to a break shortly, but let's talk about our guy from Columbia University, the Columbia University alumni, and he has his green card holder who has been detained by immigration and customs enforcement, and the case is being transferred to New Jersey. Now, he was arrested in New Jersey. Now he's in the Fed, so he's being detained by ICE, and I believe he's, I think down south New Orleans somewhere, if I'm not mistaken, but he's being detained, and it's not a good look. So we're going to go to a break, and then we're going to come back and talk about that, because there's been major protests in New York City about what we should do with this gentleman. Okay, so he's got a family. Now they're saying that it is unconstitutional to strip someone. Is it? Let me ask the people, is it unconstitutional to strip someone of their green card and deport them based on their political speech? So when we come back, we're going to talk about that, because there's a lot of changes going on in America, and we've got to have our perspective heard. So again, I'm Jania Butler, New American Perspective, here on Millennium News 24. We'll be right back.
Hello viewers, you are watching Millennium News 24. America and global villages seen America independence built by immigrants, manufacturers, roads, highways, educations, healthcare, IT, scientists, space, business development to all thousands of multimedia and all major social media platforms and news network in America. Millennium News 24, one of truthfully news networks in America and global news organizations. Please watch, follow and subscribe. We are in iOS and Android devices, Roku, Amazon, Apple devices, all smart TV, globally Horizon satellite, social media Millennium News 24, Millennium TV 24. Website www.millenniumnews24.com and www.millenniumtv24.com. Thank you.
And we are back. So how you feeling about this New American Perspective and everything that's going on with us here in America? Now, like I said, there is a lot going on. We've been running our mouths, or I've been running my mouth for the last 30 minutes telling you about everything that's been happening, but I need you to tune in. So I need you to go on our Facebook page, go on our YouTube page, and tell me what your thoughts are here. I know we shout out to everybody that already responds. Hello around the world, good people. I love seeing you, and I love I love your comments. But tell me how you feel about what's happening in America. Tell me your perspective and tell me what we should be doing. Leave that in the comments. Follow me at Jania Butler on all social mediums and things of that nature. Okay. Okay, so we talked about, I'm just checking on everything that we talked about. And so how do you feel about the man that, so they're fining Columbia University $400 million for the protest for not protecting the Jewish students on the campus. Now, how do you feel about that? Because most people think that, the Jewish people in America have, a special clout in America, that if you mess with a Jewish person in America, they're coming for you. But Jewish people in America spend a lot of money in a lot of places. And I think that what communities need to understand and see is that right away is that is exactly what's happening, is that they use their money and they're saying, look, we're going to take our money back. But now you got the president backing you up and talking about, no, we're backing them up. And so the president is getting more Republican Jewish folks, and traditionally Jewish folks are with Democrats. So is that working? Let's ask the Jewish community. Is that working? I'm sure that it is. And so now they have this gentleman that is, is being detained, right, by ICE because he started to protest. And they're like, listen, we don't have to give green card people an opportunity to come into America and tear it up. Now, his wife is pregnant. Okay. So his wife is pregnant. His wife said, I thought he was kidding. I didn't think that he was serious, but he kept saying to me that they might come get me. Now, he started these protesters on Columbia University, and they got a little rough out there. Cops was out there. The cops had to shut it down. It was like they was encamping, and they had the encampments out there, and it was a little rough at the time. Now, have we ever seen in America where somebody got arrested by protests? We're supposed to be allowed to protest in America. But the question is, if you're not an American citizen, can you start trouble with other countries? Well, for other countries, if you will. Okay, because he's, he was for Palestine. He's for the Palestinians. And I think that, people need to fight with the Palestinians, fight for the Palestinians as well. So we've got to really talk about that. I think AB Butler and the G-Check is coming in, and we got some G-Checks to look at coming up and see what we're talking about. But let me just make sure that I covered all the other information. Yep. No, I'm all covered. Oh, wait. So, and this is a G-Check. So we're going to talk about a G-Check in a second. If you can, pop on, there he goes. Oh, wait a minute. This is AB Butler. Remember, 2 weeks ago, we talked about that this gentleman was going in for a brain surgery. Now, he didn't pop back out. Sometimes you got to pop out and show them. What's up, Mr. AB Butler? Welcome back to the G-Check. Welcome back to the New American. Welcome back to Millennium News 24. How you feeling? Talk to us right now.
Thank you. I appreciate all the love, all the prayers, all the family members, all the support. It feel good to be back. God had his hands on me and took the tumor out the brain. You know what I mean? Shout out to Jania. Shout out to my mama. She holding it down, 90 years old.
Yes.
She moved like she's 25.
Yes.
Come here, Mom. Come here and show the world who you are. I need the world to see Mama Butler.
Blessed.
Take that in the moment.
I'm blessed and highly favored. Okay?
Yeah.
Very much so. I seen her in the flesh myself.
Come here, Mom. Just come on. Hold on. She's 90 years old. Look at her. She moving.
She not 90.
Look at my sexy lady right here. 90 years old.
Tell the world hello. Tell the world what's your secrets. How do you have your young juice going on, young lady? What is the secrets?
Taking care of myself. No drinking, no smoking.
No drinking, no smoking. You heard it right here on the New American Perspective. That's a perspective that we've got to keep in line, okay?
So Jania, this is why I tell people that it don't matter how young, how old you are. Respect your mother.
Right.
Respect your parents, because at the end of the day, my mom's 90 years old. Yeah, honey. She gotta get on the phone. See Wall Street. Yeah, so she's 90 years old. She took care of me. She stand by the bedside, her, my son's grandmother, and there's so many good people. Jay, from Connecticut, is woo. There's so many people, man, that show love. Shout out! I want a big shout out my family, my sister Kenny, my brother Gina. I'm mixing them up, but the family.
Okay,
yeah, because I still got the tumor. It's still fresh, but mad shout out to Fat Joe, Warren G, Ron Stewart, Tiffany Haddish, good. There's so many people, Sherry Shepherd. It's so many people, man, that show so much love. Donna, Earl. I'm just trying to get the names, man. They popped up. Jania mom. It's just so many. That came through and showed the love and support.
Time for you to go yet, and we got on board with you and said it's not time for him to go. And everybody's prayers mean everything. And thank God that he delivered you through. You look wonderful.
Always.
You didn't get any incisions. Tell us about the type of brain surgery that was.
Well, let me say this. When I went and got it done, I went there and I was asleep, so I don't know what they did, but I know they went through my nose and took the tumor out the brain.
So they had the little monster robot that went up there, crawled up there like a spider and got it done. So again, we thank God for you being back. And now let's get into some G-checks for the people right here, because they want to hear about it. And there's a whole bunch going on. So first, I want to G-check Stephen A. Smith. Okay? Stephen A. has issues with the NBA. Okay. If you remember last week, Stephen A. was talking with he got G-checked by LeBron James. Did you see that, cousin?
Yeah, I was down, but I got a replay of it. But I wish I could have heard what they was talking about. You know what I mean?
We didn't hear, but we saw LeBron, and LeBron. Now the G-check is for Stephen A. But LeBron, he played. He took a Knicks game. It was at a Knicks game, so he like New York, big city of dreams. He ran up on Stephen A. He looked over top of him, 6'8", and was like, "Yo, don't be messing with my son." And he used some curse words we heard, according to Stephen A. But then Stephen A, he went on a whole tirade, and he was on Gil's Arena, and he started talking about everybody and everything. But Stephen A is playing games because now he is doing political commentating and trying to switch over to the Republican side. Did you know that, cousin? You know, he's jumping over and trying to be a political commentator amongst the Republicans, and that's because people don't know him. So that's my first G-check. Tell us what you know about Stephen A. And no, everybody in the NBA is not feeling Stephen A.
Well, listen, you gotta look at it this way. He get his hairline keep going back every time he start talking, man. You know what I mean? So, like I say, when I see Stephen, it's all love. Yeah, only thing he got to do is just don't hold on. Both of them, you know what I mean? They probably had a misunderstanding because of the hairstyle. Because they both need to go ahead and get one of these looks.
Right, but they can't get. They can't get the smooth move. They
can't get the smooth look. They can't get it. You know what I mean? So I really think, man, in this industry we in, man, no matter what, I understand we got to talk about things and preach about things, but you got to leave family, kids out of it. You know what I mean? You got to leave the kids out of things, man. It don't matter. He play ball, whatever. But it's like you gotta leave them kids out of it.
Okay, that's well enough. But Stephen A., this is a G check. And like I said, I'm watching you, buddy. Stay out of the political arena. He's doing a political podcast with Bill O'Reilly and Chris Cuomo and trying to move over there and get more people for his YouTube agenda. And I see him very clearly. Okay, next up, we have your man, Will Smith. So, you know, Will Smith popping out. He's got a new album coming out very soon.
Okay.
But they asked Will Smith, who is your Mount Rushmore of actors? Who do you think he said, cousin? Can you?
Who he said?
Name one. It's a G check. So can you name one that was on his Mount Rushmore?
Who was it?
Himself. So he started out with himself. He says, well, you know, I think that I'm the best. Let's start there. He started with Marlon Brando. He went Marlon Brando, Denzel Washington, Daniel Day-Lewis, and Will Smith. That's a G check. What do you think about that, cuzzo?
Well, listen, it should have been Denzel first. Shout out to 914 Mount Vernon, money earning. You know what I mean? Yeah, shout there, you know, South Side, you know, and Monday Lane, you know, that's where it's at. But
straight Denzel and
but you know, then how you forget the legendary Danny Glover? You know what I mean? How you forget Danny Glover?
Marlon Brando, Godfather, but I like the Danny Glover piece. He couldn't put Danny Glover in there because he put himself in there.
Exactly. You know, how can you forget? You ain't say Jamie Foxx. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Over him, you know that. So that was his Mount Rushmore. So Will Smith, this is a G check. Next up, we've got your man Kanye Yeezy, aka Yee, on the take-in, and he might need a little brain surgery because two things that he said. First, he said that he has suicidal thoughts every day because of his mother's death. And he said that if he didn't make it, his mom would still be alive. So we're celebrating your mom. We can hold on. That. You know, we could kind of understand that piece. Okay. So next up, then Kanye West said, you can't talk loud. Then Kanye West said that what's his name? Jay-Z and Beyonce's. He said that Jay-Z and Beyonce's young people are the R word. He called them retarded, Jay-Z and Beyonce's kids. And I thought that was a horrible thing to say. He said, we don't see the kids. He said, artificial insemination are not it. And that's where he went with that. Okay. So we're going to go to a break so you can cut out really quick. And then we'll come back here on Millennium News 24. So click your camera off and we'll come back with you in 1 minute.
All right. Okay.
See you in a minute.
All right.
And we are back. You gotta press mute over there, AB Butler.
I'm here, cuz. Okay.
And we are back with the New American Perspective, here with A.B. Butler, fresh off of brain surgery out of Montefiore Hospital. So shout out
Montefiore. Shout out Montefiore.
The doctors over there having him up, sitting up in the camera like he's doing right now here on Millennium News 24. We see a miracle. We see a miracle. And we're in the segment of the G-Check as we cut out. Let me see what I got here. President Trump. Can President Trump, now here's a good G-Check. Can President Trump get a third term? Okay, so what's up right now is President Trump, and a lot of people, a lot of Congress people, and a lot of people in the midst are saying President Trump should receive a third term. Now, in the Constitution, it's only 2 terms. Now, there has been a president that has gotten 3 terms. But what is your thoughts on that? Should President Trump be saying, do we need 8 more years of President Trump? What are your thoughts on that? This is a G-Check.
Oh, man. I think, you know what I mean? If he could get a third chance, he's going to have problems because that means you got Obama, you got Michelle Obama.
Oh, good call, good call.
You know what I mean? So it's like,
would have to run against Obama.
Yeah, so you know, so that's how you gotta look at that, how that's gonna play out. You know what I mean?
Who would win in the United States between him and Obama?
The way the world is, it would be hard right now. You know, to even say it'll be hard. You know what I mean? It'll be. It's like a battle. It's like, you know, who would I say? Jay-Z versus Busta Rhymes.
Well, you don't think that Jay-Z would win that if Jay-Z versus
so Jay-Z is Obama, so you know me, Busta Rhymes. It you know.
Trump?
Yeah.
Okay, but you just saying that it would be a very difficult decision,
and
America would definitely it would be highly split there. Now, Franklin D. Roosevelt was the president who got 4 terms, actually, but he died in his 4th term. Okay, so he was the wartime president, but after him, 2 years after him, I believe it was 1946. They said, no more, and so it's in the Constitution. But technically,
what Trump had to do to make the change thing is he got to. You know, he got to get off the race war, you know what I mean, and just deal with people as people, you know what I mean. It's really no, it shouldn't be no color or nothing like that, you know what I mean.
And we talked
about that's what we got to work on as a community, as we got to stop separating the color barrel.
As an American community. And so Trump is trying to do that, so he says, but it looks like we're on the attack of the blonde-haired bullies out here with Caroline Leavitt and Bondi out here that's going with the ICE, and she's doing her thing and they're doing her thing. But I have not yet to see any Black woman prominently in the Trump administration, and we're going to need that, President Trump. We're going to need to see those folks, President Trump. Much so. So, okay, so what else we got here? Okay, so France, here goes a G-check from France. France wants the Statue of Liberty back.
So guess what? If they take the Statue of Liberty back, right, they could put Jania Butler. Exactly.
What are you talking about? Get her out of here. Yeah. She's out of here.
Yeah.
I'm with it. Now I'm with it. I was like, how you going to take the Black lady? So if you don't know, France donated the Statue of Liberty, who is supposed to be a representative of a slave woman. She's Black, if you didn't know. She's Black. And the fact that America broke those chains. If you look on her feet, she's got chains on her feet and she's standing Lady Liberty. But I'm with the flag girl in the water. I can't get it out my mind. I think I got a logo coming up with
there you go. Yeah, there you go. You get the new logo.
Flag girl in the water. It's a wrap. You didn't came up with it. This is a guy who just had brain surgery. What are we talking about? How is he thinking? Shout out to Montefiore. Okay, so I don't know if so a lot of people talked about the Republicans and the Black Republicans. I don't know if you've seen Byron Donalds was one of the Black Republicans that was running around shooing for President Trump. So now he is going for governor of Florida. Okay, so I think it's a good move. That's a G check. I think it's a good move on him, because how did you feel about the Black men that were running around with President Trump and, you know, and running it? You had Tim Scott, who was the senator in North Carolina, only Black male senator in the Senate. And then you got Byron Donalds, and it's growing. I ran for Congress in 2018. None of these, Tim Scott was there. I believe he was in the Senate, but none of these other Black Republicans were there. So I shout out to myself on that, because I helped open that door and showed us that we could be Black Republicans holding office. But now Byron Donalds is running for Congress, Black man of Florida. So he's replacing Ron DeSanctimonious in Florida. And how do you feel about that? Because the Black
listen, I say this. Me personally, I don't look at color. We got to get out the color. You know what I mean? The color thing where it's like we keep feeding off that excuse. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, you got so many people. It don't matter they white, Black, Chinese, or whatever. It's what's inside of their mind and their heart. You know what I mean? We can't. Everything we do is religion and color. So it's about who's going to do right for the people. And when I say the people, it's the mothers like mine, 90 years old, the kids. It's all about the kids. You know what I mean? We got to find a way to change this mental illness and families. I'm not going to say in color. I'm saying families. We got to go ahead and try to help the world where we ain't gonna never be on the same page, but we all should be able to support one another and stop being greedy and petty and selfish.
And that is 100% exact, right and exact. And so Byron Donalds, we support you, brother man. And we also have to stop looking at if you're Republican or you're Democrat, you know, just because he's a Republican Black man, most people say, I'm not supporting him because he's a Republican Black man. But, you know, we should support regardless and get people in office. Okay.
Let me ask you a question. Why don't we, when it comes to basketball, baseball, football, music, TV, we all on TV working together, but we always look at each other different. We understand the scale. It's like the justice system. We understand. You want to be here, and then we got the other ones down here. But at the end of the day, when we on the basketball court and the rap, the TV for the teams and for the college, we all right here. But when it comes to personal stuff, it's once again, we like this. We got to fix that where it shouldn't be a color barrel to no matter what you're doing in life. You know what I mean? It should be equal. And they talk like it's equal, but it's not.
Right. And that is very, very, very much true. And that's something that, you know, America has to find its way. And now with President Trump in office and, you know, you got your Project 2025 people, and I never denied that they were there. I just believe that President Trump is willing to see another way. But President Trump, we are going to need some executive orders that look good for everybody else as well. Okay.
Exactly.
It looks like it's in one direction, sir.
It is. Right. Especially them felonies. Hey, Trump, remember I told you, you got 34 felonies. conviction before you became the president. So the ones that's running around out here trying to find a job, trying to stay out of trouble, listen, we need to get rid of that felony. It don't matter. Because you gotta remember, you gotta have an F, you gotta have a misdemeanor. You still is in jail. And I say this, and I said this the last time. Treat us the way you treat these robots. You understand what I'm saying? They don't have to go to school to get these jobs. They ain't got to be this and that. Respect us like y'all respect these robots. Y'all give them the job. Y'all give them the benefits. Y'all want to take. Where's people getting paid? This is what I'm saying too. Rent go up, food go up, everything go up, but payment don't go up. We don't get more money. So let's try the gas go up, but we're not getting paid a lot. So we need to fix all of that. And that's a G check for real.
That is an absolute G check, President Trump. So let's talk about what President Trump had promised in his campaign trails, and it's a real G check, and that was that they just let go 80,000 pieces of the JFK assassination. Okay, they just let that out, and cat is out the bag. Now there's a lot more. And they say that they're scared to let everything out. But let me tell you what came out. And this is a G check from the grave. So John F. Kennedy Jr., the handsome young John F. Kennedy, who died in a plane crash a while back, said in 1996, he wrote Joe Biden. This is an absolute G check. He wrote Joe Biden a note and said, "Joe, you are a traitor." 1990. Okay. Yeah. So what do you think about that? Young JFK, remember the one with the dark hair?
Yeah.
And all that? He was all suave, crashed his plane, and he said, Joe Biden, you are a traitor.
But right now, the way Trump got things, Trump is on disposal time. You know what I mean? Like, you see everybody on here talking about who's telling, who's a rat, who's this, who's that. That's what it is. You know what I mean? Everybody getting exposed right now. It's like the skeleton, they woke the master skeleton key up and they opened the door. So it's like, we waiting to hear about Malcolm X. Shout out Elias.
Yeah.
And
about that
it's like Martin Luther King. It's so much that is going to hit the fan where even though it's like what's going to change, you know what I mean? Because we not focused on what's really going on, you know what I mean?
Sure.
And it's like they keep taking, and we keep sleeping, hating on one another, killing one another for no reason. You know what I mean?
Right.
But Joe Biden, I already know he was, you know what I mean? What he did for the 3 strikes, him and his partner, and then Bill Clinton, he signed the crack bill. It's so much. It's like right now they can already open a can of worms that been sitting in a can.
But that what I'm looking at is they're probably doing that to cause all the confusion so other people can get a whole bunch of bills passed that we're not paying attention to because everybody is fighting over what they did back in the day. So
that's definitely that's what's been going on. They started with Puff. They started with Bill Cosby. Yes, they started with all of them,
People that use as distractions, R. Kelly.
Yeah.
Years for R. Kelly, but did you hear R. Kelly said he got 25 albums? So somebody might go fish him out for that money that he got in there because it's right. He got that baby making music. So what would to do is we're going to close out for today, and we're going to close out with Violetta Wallace, and saying a rest in peace to Biggie Smalls' mom. A lot of people came out. Mace, Puffy's son,
Justin.
King. Puffy's son, King. And everybody came out, the daughter, his Faith Evans, Eve, just the whole crew, Little C's, and they sent his mom off in fine fashion. And then that is the way that friends should do. So,
but you know what it is? Let me say this, cuz it's so crazy. You know, I met his moms and they had something for Biggie at the Brooklyn Chop House. And I told his mother, thank you. And she's like, thank me for what? I said, yeah, 1995, I had the biggest show in the Fed system. I brought Biggie, Craig Mack, and Puff to the jail to do a show for me, right?
Right.
But I said, thank you, because if it wasn't for your son, you know what I mean, coming up there crushing this, you know what I mean, we killed it. We shut the jail down. We shut the whole Fed system down at that time, you know what I mean? But it's like you got to show love while people here, you know what I mean? Because it's always when somebody go, everybody gonna say they miss that person, but we got to stop saying while the people's here on earth and living and moving and healthy, the same love you show when they pass, y'all need to switch it and show the love while they alive. You know what I mean? So shout out to everybody that moms, kids passed away, and all the celebs is dying left and right, because listen, you got to remember, I said this, it don't matter. You might look at them as a star. You might look at them as celebrity. They humans.
They human.
So you got to respect humans, people, while they here.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? We got to learn to get the hate out of us. You know, shout out Soraya, the artist.
So, yes, shout out to Raya. We'll look forward to having you here on the G-Check. And that was the ultimate G-Check. I want to thank everybody for tuning in today on this Wednesday, noonday, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, whatever time it is, whatever time you check us out. But we're here on Millennium News 24. This is the New American Perspective. This is Jania Butler. That's AB Butler. And this is the G-Check. We'll see you soon.